topic what I have is migration to Simple Finance add-on. So before we move to this, let me show you the system, what changes has been done. So this is the system, where the database system is HANA database, and if you see the product version, it's where is accounting? Okay, so it's 617. It means EHP 7, and then Simple Finance is there. There is an add-on component for Simple Finance, right? So when we talk about migration, so if you go to SPRO, the rest of the menu looks same, but you have an additional button here. You see SAP Simple Finance add-on for SAP Business Suite powered by HANA. So this is the one where additional node has been introduced and which contains everything, migration, preparation and migration customization, and migration. So this is the additional node which SAP has given. Okay. Migration steps. What is the process to migrate to Simple Finance add-on? So although we are, I'm using every time Simple Finance because all the study material as of now has the name Simple Finance, but we will try to use S4 HANA Finance because that's a official name now. So we will try to use that. Train those who involved in SAP New GL accounting. Create a small blueprint for the new GL configuration. Perform reconciliation period end activities. Gather reporting snapshot before and after comparisons. So if you see those 2 points, first and second, train those who are involved in new GL and small blueprint are marked with star, and that star means if you are currently using classic GL. So what happened is there are two modes of migration. First is if you are using classic GL, another is if you are using new GL. So if you are using classic GL, you have to first migrate to the light version of the new GL, which is coming in coming slides. I'll talk about that. And if you are using new GL, it is easy to migrate to Simple Finance. But from classic GL also, it is not that you have to go to 100% new GL and then you migrate. So there are some additional steps you have to do to technically tell system that we are on new GL now, and then you can migrate. SAP allows that. So this is the preparation phase. You do all your documentation work, training, documentation, prepare reconciliation, month end close. Then comes the installation. Install Simple Finance add-on, create backup tables, perform reconciliation and checks on data values after install. So this is the technical step where the installation takes place, and the system admin team do this job. But at the same time, what happens is the moment you install, system creates the backup tables. All the tables which are getting removed, system creates the backup of all those tables. By default, then you perform reconciliation checks on and data values after installation. So then after, once installation is complete, you ensure that, what was there in the actual table is there in the backup table. You do all those checks and reconciliation. So here also the functional requirement will be there, right at the first step is there. Second step again, it's installation by the technical team, but for backup tables, you have to do your reconciliation. So that again, functional team will do this. Data transfers. Customize GL and new GL accounting. So this is a condition where, if you are on classic GL, then you have to first customize new GL, populate the relevant new GL tables, perform reconciliation and checks on data values. Then you do your all checks, classic GL to new GL reconciliation. That's a data transfer. That's why the terminology is different: data transfer and data migration. Transfer is from classic to new, and migration to HANA Finance. Then once you are on new GL and your data is validated, and you have already said goodbye to classic GL, then there is a step of migration. It says data migration. Migration of financial data for GL, AP, AR, CO. Reconciliation and checks after migration. So there is an additional step I'll add on here. It's fixed assets. So migration of financial data, GL, AP, AR, CO. Then another step, fixed assets migration, and then you do reconciliation. Then you do post processing. Once your data is migrated, you have reconciled. Then you transfer the data to cold database. Then you define what is your data aging. Hot and cold partition. We talk about that day. At this point, that's a post processing step. Once you migrate, then at that point you take a call that how many years you want to put in hot and what is your cold data. Update some FI AA configuration. Run reconciliation reports to check data consistency and perform process tests to ensure successful migration. Then comes the unit testing and all. When you say perform process test, means unit testing as well as end-to-end testing. You have to perform the testing to ensure the data migration is successful. Any questions?
This is Kiran. So I have a question on all the BI data sources or info sources. Will they have to be remapped, or will this migration process take care of that?
This is ECC migration. That has to be done. BI migration has to be done.
So all BI info cubes would have to be remapped, or extractors would have to be worked.
Those have to be remapped and reworked upon.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Nitin, I have a question. So if there is a classic GL, so normally how long it will take to convert classic GL to new GL?
Yes, what settings are required. We will talk about that in data transfer. So this is just a high-level slide. We will get into detail of each step. All these 5 steps. We are going into those. We will talk about that. So this slide is very important because for understanding perspective as well as for marketing perspective, because this is something when you talk to anybody, when you go for discussion of job or something or project, These are the steps, anybody can question. Okay, what will do in data transfer? So how data migration works? So all those questions can come. So the summary slide is pretty important. You should have printed on your mind, while you are going to for discussion. Client can ask, okay, we are on classic GL. How should we go about? So all those points should be clear. But we will get into detail of each. Now, like this. Now we'll first go to preparation phase. What preparation we have to do? Assumptions. We are on classic GL. We are assuming at this point, that we are working with the client which is in classic GL. Classic asset accounting is being used. Account approach. There is a business function which is active. New depreciation engine is active. Migration can be done at any point of time. Special ledger, cost of sales, preparation of consolidation, and profit center are active. So these are the basic assumptions, assuming the client says, okay, what if I am on classic asset accounting, how to do that? So these are just pre-taken assumptions. It might not valid, but for some customer they don't use, let's say they're not using preparation consolidation. Doesn't matter. Project preparation in more detail. Simple Finance add-on already installed. So the basic HANA version is already installed. Run special check report RAS fin migration pre-check for FIA installed via node 1939592. So this is the first check you have to do. You have to run this report. So there is a note. Let me check the note if I have. You will get more clarity. Where is the note? I do have. Okay. So what the note says. Simple Finance pre-check report for migration to new asset accounting. So this is for fixed asset specific area. Sometimes you are going to migrate. You are going to use Simple Finance.
So we need to run this report in the classic ECC environment before we install the add-on for Simple Finance, right?
Yes.
This is just only in preparation for the.
Yes, this is just a preparation phase. It's not a migration. We are just getting ready to migrate actually.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah. So let's understand this note. What it says. To be able to use new asset accounting, a pre-check report has to be executed to see if any preconditions are fulfilled. The report checks the following prerequisites for all active company codes in asset accounting. So this report will check all the active asset accounting company codes. You might have 100, but fixed asset might be only in 50. So it will check only those 50 where asset is there. SFIN requires. So you will see Smart Financials here because the note is released long back. At that point it was, this is version 17 I have. So this note was released, it was the first note. So at that point the product name was Smart Financials. Don't worry about that. The classic GL accounting is not a part of Simple Finance. Very clear. There is no option of going from classic GL to, there is no option of going with classic GL and Simple Finance. Either you already have new GL accounting active, or when you don't have new GL accounting active, you can install Simple Finance and then you can migrate to new GL directly and activate it there. But you have to be on new GL accounting. Joint venture accounting must not be active at company code level. So this business function JVA GL integration joint venture should not be active when you are planning to migrate. If this is active, system will not allow you to migrate. Lease accounting engine must not be active. Classic real estate must not be active. So when we say real estate, there are two real estate versions, classic and real estate flexible, which is REFX. REFX is compatible with Simple Finance, but classic is obsolete now. So it is stopping the classic one. Classic GL account, classic real estate must not be active.
This is Ivan. So then what happens when we have active one of these components?
So either you have to upgrade it, or then SAP services has to be taken if something is active like this. So like example, if classic real estate is active, you have to upgrade from classic to flexible real estate. Then you can move on. Joint venture and lease accounting engine, if these are already active and you have data, then you have to connect to SAP. Then SAP has some another services to deactivate those from the background or something like that. But joint venture and lease accounting are not something very common features. It's not that.
So basically, this might be a job stopper until you overcome this situation, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just to keep it in mind.
In component PSM, FM, ISPS, the request with reference to asset must not be active. So fund management and project systems, the request with reference to asset must not exist. So there is no functionality here. It's talking about a request. From project system, if any asset is going to capitalize, then there is no open request should be there. We have to close all the requests first. All fixed asset, any AUC or something. We have to close all those. No periodic postings are hanging. Periodic asset postings are hanging. So there is no. When we say hanging means currently, let's say it is in January, we are doing migration now, so we have to ensure that December month end close has been done and there are no postings pending. Let's say it's not like there are 50 company code, you do 48 in last month, and for 2 you said okay, we will do it later. No, system will not allow you to move until you complete the posting, because depreciation is one area where SAP will not allow you to move to next month until you run the current month. That's why I said no periodic postings are hanging. Anything hanging in between, system will not allow you to move. Depreciation area for parallel currency must exist. So for global organizations, like companies in US, they have company codes in different countries. So the parallel currency will always be USD, and the local currency can be different, based on the country. Like Canada, so the local currency is Canada, but parallel currency is USD. So depreciation area for parallel currency must exist. It means depreciation area 01 must have a copy in different currency. 01 is US GAAP local currency. Then there is the area 32, which is US GAAP group currency. Then we have area 36, which is local GAAP local currency. Then we have area 52, which is local GAAP group currency. So all the parallel currency area must exist. So if there is 01 and 36, there must be have 32 and 52. So if those are not there, then system will not allow you. You cannot have only one area for the currency. The number which I am just telling, 01, 32, 36, 52, all those are standard SAP areas. That's why in ESP7 SAP has given these areas. One is US GAAP local currency, 32 is copy of that in group currency. Then 36 is always local currency, local GAAP, and 52 is a copy of that particular area in group currency. So SAP will check that if any of the depreciation, start of depreciation, your area is missing, this report will check and it will error it out.
Nitin, what happens if a client doesn't use a parallel currency at all?
That also, even though they are not using, but it has to be there. Area has to exist.
Okay.
Yeah, that's mandatory. Area has to be created no matter you use it or not. That's something a client decision. But technical decision is area has to exist. Like I gave an example, 132. Client might be using only first one, 01, which is US GAAP local currency. Might not be using US GAAP group currency. But for SAP, 32 is required. So this note is pretty important. You see, this is the base note for your entire migration and entire process, and it keeps on updating. I don't know what is the latest version going on. I have to check this. Let me see what is the latest version. I hope there is no changes in this version because for simple finance, especially at this point, when everything is new, it is pretty important that we keep updated ourselves with the SAP notes because these are changing very frequently. This is the note.
The second one in the list, I think.
No, yeah, this is the 1939592. You are going to migrate simple finance for this is for asset accounting. Check report for this is the another note. They have this is added recently in the bucket. It's released on 25th November 2015. You see, there is another pre-check report they have given. 25th version 25. That's how SAP plays. Okay. So apart from that, if you see other notes, those are some errors which customer faced. Pre-check report gives error message this. Checks on inactive company code. So it says, when we run this report, if you see this note, what it says. The report checks the following perquisites on all active company codes in asset accounting. Right here it says active. But what SAP was doing is, it was checking on inactive company codes also. You see here, SFIN report, this gives error message, this checks on inactive company code. So that was a correction to that because system was checking on inactive also. But anyways, this is the further addition to the one we are discussing. This one we are talking about 1939592. Release the pre-check report this or pre-check that are performed. This note adds further checks to the report. But how it is reading further check. Okay. We will talk about this. Okay. We were at this note. Implement a correction instruction corresponding to this and implement correction of nodes this. Create following message. So they have given the reasons and the solution. New asset accounting is not compatible with real estate. Classic real estate is not compatible with lease accounting engine. That's why they are asking to to ensure those components are not active. I think these notes should have the answer to your questions you just asked. Let me see. What if those components are active? I think this note should have the answer. I put it the wrong place. Yeah. Okay. Got it. So for these components, I think I will check. I think SAP has. I once posted a message and SAP said you have to get some services to deactivate and discontinue these functions. Classic real estate, it's clear. Even if though you are using classic estate, you have to move to flexible real estate. So there is a solution for this. This one there is a solution. You can close all the existing requests. This one we have the solution. You have to complete all the postings and all everything whatever is pending. And then this one we have a solution. You have to create additional depreciation areas wherever you have the parallel currency like based on group currency and local currency. Very important, perform period and closing activity in asset accounting, periodic asset posting. So you have to perform the period and closing of for fixed assets. I just told that the depreciation recalculation program, depreciation and all those programs, everything has to be done for assets. Because until you run the depreciation, SAP will not allow you to migrate. For all active company codes, you have to ensure that depreciation is complete for that particular period. At that where you are migrating. Like you are migrating now in January, it has to be completed till December 31, whatever month its last end date. Run reconciliation reports to ensure consistent data. Report SAP F190 financial accounting comparative analysis. Data consistency, like sometimes it happens data exists in subledger doesn't exist in GL. There are inconsistencies which customers do who try to play with standard SAP. Sometimes it happens. Like one of the customer, what they did is they have to post something in for audit adjustment. They have to post something in subledger, asset subledger, but they didn't want to post in GL. What they did is they break the connection, subledger and GL connection, they post in subledger and then they make the connection. Now what happened is subledger has a different balance and GL has a different balance. Both are out of sync now.
But why would you like to do something like that? Is there any reason? What is the reason to do that?
I just told because of some audit issues or something, customer did this. This is a real-time situation I'm telling. So there are customers who play around with standard SAP processes. So that's why before moving on, SAP checks all this consistency in data. They run the comparative analysis and all, because this is something if they don't do in the pre-check reports, things will fail when they move on. So to ensure the current data is compatible and there is no issues, SAP checks all these things.
So basically, what you're saying is, besides executing this special check, all the cleansing, data cleansing, and fixing issues, it should happen before we do the migration. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So to prevent any issue once we move to simplifying.
Because once you run the migration program, system will do a lot of things in background, and then if that point something fails, it will be a mess to correct the running program. So it is very important to do all those pre-checks before. Even if something is wrong, it might take some time, but it is still less than that when you correct the program, because if something goes wrong, yeah.
When I'm sizing, let's say, a project migration for Simple Finance, then I should consider a really good time to do all these pre-checks and data cleansing and perhaps even customizing changes if it's needed. Time enough to make sure I have enough bandwidth to do the migration, right?
Yes. So in migration, the migration process doesn't take much time, but the preparation of migration takes time.
Do you have an idea how much time is in your experience?
I'll share one of my project plan with you. Once I move on. So perfect. I will share how long which step took. There you will see. The migration doesn't took much time, but the pre-checks and all those and post-checks. We have a lot of post-checks also after migration. All those things take time because those are pretty important from financial data validation perspective. Okay.
Within one question here.
Yes.
So when we are doing this migration, this will follow the normal process, right? Like first we do that in dev box, then in QA box, like that, or like how it is done?
Yes. So what will happen is you refresh your dev and QA box with your production system as on particular date. Then you do your all customization and data migration test to ensure that whatever you are doing in production data, and if any error is there in which is going to come in production, you will face it beforehand.
Okay.
So there is you have to take the refresh time also, that again we are in January, you refresh with the date of 31st December, so that all data is there, so that you can all run your all pre-checks and everything.
Good question. Nitin, would it make sense to have a sandbox or a copy of your production environment on the side and do that for the first time?
Yes. Sandbox is always a very good solution. So most of the issues will get resolved in sandbox. So again, sandbox should also be a copy of the production, so that you face the real-time issues. So
because I guess if you start right away on dev environment, sometimes people are making fixes for production environment, or you don't want to mess up with.
Yeah, I agree. So sandbox is the right option. You go to with sandbox. If things goes well there, then you move things to you again move things to development, and then you can do all your testing again in QA, all retest and everything, and then things goes to production. It will follow the normal landscape. We have normal in all SAP projects: sandbox, development, QA, and production. One of the client, they use the pre-production box as well. host, so their environment was like sandbox, development, QA, then pre-production and then production. So pre-production was, they once everything was successful in QA, they again retest in pre-production to ensure they are not missing anything. That was a recheck. They refresh it fresh, then again transport was sent to pre-production, then again retesting, and then when everything was successful, then it was moved to production. Because none of the client will want to take the risk for this, because this is very complex.
Right, and something that comes to my mind just as a question is, in parallel, it's something you need to work with basis to do the HANA migration?
Sorry?
Or how? Yeah, so we're talking about maybe perhaps having a sandbox to do to move to Simple Finance. I guess that sandbox should be already in S4, on HANA?
Yes.
As part of the prerequisite? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Just give me a second. Okay. Then we have execute and save financial reports to allow comparison after migration. So here what we did is we have to ensure that we save all our financial reports to ensure we compare after migration. Like GL account balances and financial statements too are key. So what exists today then in terms of numbers should exist tomorrow as well post migration, because if something gets changed it will be a problem. So that's why it is important to save your financial reports before we migrate. Customization for new GL if necessary, because in case you are on classic GL you have to do customization for new GL and customization for initial balance carry forward in test system. So you have to do some basic customization in your sandbox or whatever system you are doing as of now. So there are the 4 or 5 special checks you have to execute to ensure before you start migration process. These are the pre-checks you have to do. Any questions? No? Okay. Customizing required for new GL. So activate customizing path for new GL, program this, activate, deactivate, whatever it is. The program is sufficient for this kind of migration. It is important not to activate the new GL. So you see the contradicted statement. First SAP says you have to activate, now it says it is not important. But what we have to do? In case new GL customization will be made before Simple Finance add-on is installed, the flag for new GL has to be deactivated. So there is a technical glitch here.
Sorry, I do not understand very clear this part.
So I'm coming to that.
Okay.
Assuming you are on classic GL,
Correct.
right? Assuming today, let's say we are sitting on classic GL. In case new GL customization will be made before Simple Finance add-on is installed. So what happened is I installed Simple Finance add-on before new GL customization. I am on classic GL. I installed Simple Finance add-on. I can install the database and all those things. The flag for new GL has to be deactivated.
Okay, so if I understand right, I'm running Classic GL. I will install the Simple Finance add-on, and then I need to make sure this flag is deactivated, and then I will do the new GL configuration after the fact.
Yes.
Okay.
And the first line says program is sufficient for this kind of migration. It is important not to It is not important to activate new GL. So from migrate for Simple Finance migration perspective, SAP is not asking you to do 100% new GL migration. New GL migration is a project in its own. It's not that you just make a one plug and play and new GL works. So it's a migration project in its own. A lot of migration projects are going on, 6 months, 8 months, 10 months new GL. So SAP says we don't want you to activate full-fledged version. You run the program. On the top one, activate. There is a menu which it will give you the basic things, and that's the key to start migration. SAP doesn't like document splitting. It is there in NewGL. SAP doesn't want you to activate document splitting to move to Simple Finance. It says that's fine. You can do it later if you need. Don't worry, move on. That's the key. If they have given the name light version, where it's not 100% NewGL, but basic functionalities of NewGL technically which are required to be on Simple Finance has to be there. That's the only difference.
So once I activate this flag, is there a lot of configuration that I need to do, or it's basically more in the background that SAP needs that flag on?
No. So once you activate this flag, this is just only activate the new GL. You have to do a lot of configuration. So if you are migrating normally from classic to new, this is the first step. Then you do a lot of configuration. But if you are moving from classic to Simple Finance, with this flag, still you have to do some configuration. I'm coming to that. Customization required in new GL. So there are some basic configuration you have to do to tell system that we are compliant to move to Simple Finance. It's not too much, but yes, to some extent. Customization required in new GL. Number one, leading ledger. In classic GL, you don't have leading and non-leading. But this is very important from Simple Finance perspective. We talk about that day, the ledgers, we have leading, we have non-leading, we have appendix ledgers. So until we tell system, what is the leading ledger, we cannot move on. So that's number one thing. Define the leading ledger 0L and assign it to totals view, Pagel flex. So we are done with, these are the steps which are, yeah.
Then we said this total view flag flexi it's no longer available in Simple Finance.
In Simple Finance, but we are still not on Simple Finance. We are migrating from Classic to New.
Okay. Just only the migration. Okay.
Yeah, we are still not on Simple Finance. We are in preparation of migration to Simple Finance. So this table will go away when we move to Simple Finance, but in New GL, this is one of the key tables. Pagel Flex, the totals in the Pagel Flex are. These two are the key tables for New GL. Assign update scenarios and optional fields for leading ledger, cost center update, preparation for consolidation, so it's optional fields. Assignment is important to fill in the GL view, rather have to have a correct value in the totals table. So this is something, you just have to update scenarios in SAP. Go through these 3 points, not very complex. Then I'll explain. Accounting principles and valuation areas, if not exist, you have to tell system, your accounting principles and valuation areas. Configure foreign currency valuation. In Classic GL, the transaction code is F.05, I believe. In New GL, they change it to FAGL_FC_val. In Simple Finance, they again change, but to ensure that the new transaction, the new GL transaction runs, there are some configuration has to be done for foreign currency valuation as well. Configure the real-time integration of CO and FI depending on the assigned scenarios. So this was the benefit of Classic in the new GL. There is a real-time integration between FI and CO. So you have to complete that configuration.
Nitin, can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, the thing is, I may be a little bit confused. So here is just configuration for the new GL, yes, but you said that we do not need to activate new GL prior to the migration to Simple Finance.
See.
So what you're saying is I'm not going to activate new GL, but I'm going to make the configuration. Is what you're saying?
Let me reframe that word.
Sorry, I'm confused in that part.
No problem. So what happened is there are a lot of things in new GL. You see here only SAP is asking you to do only 5 things, right? But there are n number of things which has to be done for new GL configuration. SAP doesn't ask you to do all those things. They are only asking to do the mandatory things. Now, coming to this slide, activate customizing for new GL. This is the key. So the program is sufficient. There is a program name. The program is sufficient for this kind of migration. It is not important not to activate the new GL. In case new GL customization will be made before Simple Finance, this flag has to be deactivated. So this flag is not the only key which says new GL accounting is activated, you are activating or not. SAP has given the another program on the top. If you see RFA GL swap menu new whatever it is. So even though you don't take this button, you run this program on the top. That program is sufficient for this kind of migration. But you have to ensure the timings. If you are on Classic, you install first Simple Finance and then you go to new GL, or you first go to new GL and then you install Simple Finance. So those will be the the decision maker what you need to do next.
You said just now you said Classic to new GL and to Simple Finance, and another option is deactivate GL and go to Simple Finance and then implement the new GL.
No, I'm saying there is an option. You are on Classic GL, you go to new GL and then you move to Simple Finance. Number one. Number two, you are on Classic GL, you install Simple Finance and then you move to new GL. I'm talking not of talking about migration. I'm talking installation. You install the add-on before you migrate to new GL.
Yeah, in second case, after implementing Simple Finance, if you go to new GL, that long the system will be not be available to the user, right? How long that will take?
Yes. So in that case, if you install Simple Finance before, then you can deactivate this button which you see new GL accounting is active, because at that point you have to deactivate, because you have to tell system that hey, we are on still on Classic GL and we are installing Simple Finance. But the main migration basically is from new GL to, this is kind of additional step what SAP has provided, because there are still few customers on Classic GL. But the main migration to Simple Finance starts when we are already on new GL. We complete these 5 steps. The moment we are on on new GL, then your actual migration starts.
A little more confused. I mean, once you migrate to Simple Finance by deactivating the GL, and next you implement the new GL, right? In that case, system is not available for the user, right? Until you have the new GL implemented on Simple Finance. Will that be the case? Whether the users the time taken for implementing new GL after the fact will be longer, right?
So whatever currently you are doing on Sandbox for development. So it should not impact the users. It's not stopping the production system.
So but what is your recommendation if we are in a Classic GL?
So the recommendation is before installation we move to new GL. Even with the light version, you do these 5 checks, activate, and then once system is compliant, then you move to Simple Finance. That's the standard way, or you can say the recommended way, because this method will have less hassles and less complexity. Because the moment you install Simple Finance add-on, your menus will be some things will be activated and deactivated from the background, and then migration is a complex thing. So very clear steps. You are on Classic, you move to new GL, you move to Simple Finance. Don't install Simple Finance before you move to new GL. And for new GL, there are lot of configs. Only 5 or 6 basic configuration you have to do. It's not you have to update everything like document splitting and all those things. You don't need to touch all those. It just you have to tell system from the basic technical level that we are ready to move to the next version. We don't want to stop at new GL. We have to move to Simple Finance. If you are stopping at new GL, that's another migration project. which goes from classic to new. But this is the light version, very few activities to be done, not 100%. Any other question?
Yeah, just one more question. So if you are in new GL already, so we need just to deactivate the flag, correct?
If you are a new GL already,
Mm-hmm.
then what that said?
We need to deactivate this new general ledger accounting.
No. You don't need to deactivate.
Okay.
Yeah. If you are a new GL, you are very easy. You just have to work with the simple finance steps. You install and you move on. You don't need to do anything. So your process, if you are already a new GL, your process will start from here. Installation of simple finance add-on. Okay, now comes the installation. In installation, it is performed by the system administrator. It is not something we have to do. And at the background, system performs the following steps automatically by the system. Creating backup tables for the totals table and indexes tables in the data dictionary that are being done away with this and this. So what happens is all those tables which are going like FagelFlex or FagelFlex or whatever table it is. So SAP will do is in the background it will create a backup table for that to ensure you are using it. In future you need the data, right? So it will say FagelFlex underscore BCK or any or COEP underscore BAK in CO. Saving the totals and the index tables in the backup tables. So all totals and indexes will fit in the backup tables. It will create automatically all the backups. Deleting the original index table and the totals table. So while installation system do this, it deletes all your actual tables. First it make a copy, it creates a backup, and then it deletes all the tables. Creating HANA views with the same name for the total tables and the indexes. Totals table like GLT0 or cost for this scenario starting with classic GL are empty after installation of add-on. There are no more postings possible from now until end of migration. The system is not usable. So this is again a drawback with classic GL. The totals table for FI, GLT0 and cost for CO are empty after installation of simple finance add-on. So there are no more postings possible. But the key here is the backup creation by the system in the background and deleting the original tables.
One more question, Nitin. When we are migrating from the ECC system from Oracle database, for example, does it have to be moved into HANA database first before you start any simple finance upgrade?
Yes, I just showed you our system. The system we have. Hold on. HANA database. That's the first thing. Simple Finance add-on or Simple Finance, these new versions of SAP doesn't work on any other database. So SAP is taking basically the monopoly. Till now, basically, the marketing aspect is that till now there were different databases being used. Most of them were using Oracle. Even SAP was selling Oracle database, along with SAP. It was compatible. But now since SAP has brought up HANA, so they have clear plan that no other database can be used. So SAP has stopped marketing any other database. It has to be HANA, then only these functionalities or add-ons or Simple Finance, Simple Logistics or all those things will work. So now you can say all other databases are getting scrapped for SAP area. No database will work.
The system is showing me that's the ECC 6 NAS package 7 system on HANA. It's not yet migrated, right?
Sorry?
This is not a system which is already migrated to Simple Finance, right?
I have to check all the system details because I received the system yesterday, a few hours back in fact. I still have to get into system and see all those things, what configuration is there. So I cannot comment right now. Once we move on, we will talk about that.
Yeah, sure. Why I'm asking, because the menu and all looks the screen looks different. So.
Okay. So if you are migration from classic to new, there is an additional step, data transfer, and SAP says it's optional because for new GL customers it will not be valid. So for new GL customers it will be like preparation, installation, migration, processing. That's all. Additional step is because you have to migrate from classic to new and new to Simple Finance. So once we have the latest pack installed, 15.11 update, you will see the difference in the menu. If you see here, the highlighted one where my cursor is, migration to SAP accounting powered by HANA, right? This is the name. But if you see our system, what we have is it's SAP Simple Finance add-on for SAP Business Suite powered by HANA. So there is a different name. Now this will change to SAP Accounting powered by HANA. This one, migration to SAP Accounting powered by SAP HANA. This will change. So now I am receiving a lot of opportunities in the market for Simple Finance, and now even the recruiters doesn't say Simple Finance. They are saying S4 HANA, and in the bracket they write formerly Simple Finance. So they have started using the new term, even the recruiters. So we as a consultant has to use the new term, right?
So what is this new term? Sorry, can you repeat again?
S4 HANA Finance.
Okay.
So now Simple Finance is basically they have changed the name. So even recruiters, that's what I said. The recruiters are coming with the new name. They say opportunity for S4 HANA Finance consultant, and in the bracket it says formerly Simple Finance. Okay, see. This is we are talking, when we do the installation. Analyze FI document, check whether all FI documents are complete and correct. Tables, BKPF, BSEC, BSEC underscore add and corresponding backup tables. So you see all the tables will have BCK at the back because their era is ending now. BSEC is one of the key table till now, in ECC, and all FI consultants, they have BSEC and BKPF in their mouth, whenever they talk, when the consultant talks. So all this era is ending. So all the tables will have BCK at the end. It means it's a backup table of the existing table, and it will delete the real table. Check all the items of corresponding document header. Check for missing line item. Check for missing clearing information. So anything which is missing in document needs to be get checked. Sometimes what happen, when this system will create the backups. Let's say it create the backup for the line item but doesn't create for the header. So it happens. So there is a pre-check that you ensure all your documents are complete, all your financial documents, because you are going to use your documents in future also. You have to run the reports, you have to answer audits, you have to do your financial reports and all those things. So those has to be complete. Migration should not impact your business. That is the key. So all businesses take in this way, that even though we are migrating to HANA or new GL, but business should run as usual. It should not impact the business processes. That's why we have to ensure, the data is correct. Display status of analysis of all FI documents.
Listen, so the analyze FI documents, it doesn't mean that all documents have to be posted. Right? I mean, I can still have part documents or complete documents in the system which are not posted yet during migration.
Part document?
Yes.
Those have to be complete first.
Those have to be posted in the application completely.
Yes. No parking. If those are parked, system will delete them.
Okay.
Yes. Because what happens is they are parked in the tables, only waiting for the save button. But when system will migrate, complete these all steps, tables get changed. The real table get deleted and backup is created. So backup will only be created for where the system found that the document is complete. So for incomplete document, system will delete. When they delete the main table, it will delete the document also. It will not take in the backup.
Okay, so let's say if I have a vendor invoice management system or like a workflow for document parking and posting, does SAP have any recommendation or tool on how to handle those? I mean, there could be like hundreds of documents or actually thousands of documents or invoices which are just parked and waiting for approval to get posted. Do they have to be reprocessed?
So see, all those tables which we are talking about, all those are mainly for financial documents, the normal JV. So JVs can be completed, before migration.
Okay.
Yeah. Because when SAP is saying, you have to complete your month end, right? So completion of JVs is a part of MEC. You cannot have JVs parked this month and you complete your MEC and those are still parked. Either you have to delete those or save or post those. You have to do something. That's why I say there is a pre-check. You can do this process anytime during the year, but you have to ensure that you complete your month end closing.
Okay.
Yeah. Migration to SAP accounting powered by HANA is mainly technical migration. It does not involve business transformation expertise and effort a project for migration to new GL does. migration to SAP accounting can be executed at any period and no need to wait for fiscal year end. You should be, however, aware that the following prerequisite before starting the migration. You should only be using profit centers for P&L. No document from the current year have been archived. So with the new GL, there is a constant, I don't know how many of you have done the new GL migration. Have any of you done the new GL migration?
No.
Okay. So there is a constant with new GL migration is you cannot do new GL migration anytime during the year. You have to do it at the close of the fiscal year. You cannot do it in between. That's the issue, or you can say technical challenge. But migration to this the simple finance, it can be executed at any period end. So again, period end is important. You have to complete your first month end. No need to wait for fiscal year end. You can do it anytime.
So what
There
is
is
what is the statement? You should only be using profit centers for P&L accounts mean? Does it mean that we cannot post to balance sheet accounts with profit center?
You should, however, be aware following prerequisites before starting migration project. You should only be using profit centers for. You should only be using profit centers for P&L account. So it says in new GL there is a PCA active, profit center accounting. So any document without profit center, system will not accept that. That's what it says. Because you post P&L to cost center and cost center behind the scenes will pick the profit center. In classic GL it is a different way. So that's why it says this statement. Because this is we are just talking about on the top you see prerequisite for migration to new GL. We're still talking about new GL.
So even if I have balance sheet postings to profit center, it's not a problem then?
Yeah, balance sheet has to go to,
Right.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking, like this one is, like this statement is a little confusing.
Yes. So that's fine, profit center goes to, balance sheet goes to profit center. And I think I have a note, I will share the number, or if you can just go to Google and check. There is a big note by SAP on new GL migration FAQ. So there is that just have FAQ, kind of consulting note. And it's around 20-25 pages, one note. And that gives you entire picture of what new GL migration have issues, constants and prerequisites and everything. So that will help you, to understand classic and new GL and what are the migration things. That will help you, to understand better the scenario. Even if you put on Google FAQs for new GL SAP note, you will get the number. Let me check if I can share that with you. That will help you. FAQs for new GL. 1070629. See? So I would recommend you guys to read this note.
Okay, thanks, Nathan.
Read this note. Where is the note? 107. Oh, yes. This is a big note, it's a long one. Oh, it's updated recently, you see. 4 days back SAP updated and it's a 100th version. And you see the length. It's all question and answers. It has given around 100 plus questions, 108, 9, 10, 11 questions. Now all these are question answers. What SAP has answered. Is there a certificate available? Is there a guide for migration? How can I calculate data volume? What are the restrictions? What special ledger can be transferred? So if this will give you what NewGL migration all talks about. This is a very good note. I usually refer this.
Nitin, I don't have access to download this note. Can you please anybody download for me?
Let me save this. NewGL FAQ. Okay, so how to send that note? That's a question now. I don't know if I can upload to the blog. Let me see if I have access to upload here. So all the slides which I discussed till now are there. I think I don't have access to upload anything here. No. So how to send that note? That's the question. I don't have access to upload here, and I cannot ask those people to upload SAP note because that's something SAP copyright information and all. If one of you can give me your email ID, and I can send to one, and then you guys can circulate among yourself.
Nitin will not have access to others' email ID. I think it is better you get it posted on the document section itself.
I'll try to ask those people to load it, but not sure. Give me a second, because the point is, providing SAP note to them to load is something I don't prefer, because hold on. Still, I'll try. I'll send this. Once I send the material, today's material, I will send a note to them, so that those guys can. If they can post this note. But anyway, sorry. So anyway, that is important. You guys can take time. Just hold on for a second. Go to take your time, and whenever you have, you will go through that note. That is very important. I just want to highlight that. Those who access can directly download. Constraints of NewGL migration. Migration to NewGL as a part of migration to Simple Finance does not support the following scenarios. So here you see, I told you a lot of steps are involved. You need not to do all those things. Document splitting, balance sheet at profit center level, migration from special to NewGL, segment reporting, parallel accounting, ledger approach, chart of account change, customer field, transfer of quantities. So there are a lot of things which actually NewGL provides, but for this particular migration, since this is the light version, this does not support it, and this will not help you. Note, if you have started or you are planning to phase to start a migration to NewGL, using SAP GL migration service, SAP recommends you that you complete the new GL project first before installing Simple Finance add-on. So this is what SAP is saying. SAP is saying if you are working on new GL project, please complete that. Don't rush in between to Simple Finance. Recommend that you complete the new GL migration project before installing Simple Finance add-on. Don't install, complete the project, do the data validation, and then install Simple Finance add-on. That's a clear message by SAP.
So what happens when you have
Sorry? What is the question?
sorry, yeah, what happens when you have document splitting and you move to Simple Finance?
No, nothing happens. If you are, see, there are two ways of migration. One is you only migrate to new GL. Another is you are planning to migrate to Simple Finance, but you are implementing the light version of new GL. So SAP says if you are implementing complete version of new GL, don't install add-on, Simple Finance add-on until you complete the project. But if you are just moving directly from Classic to Simple Finance, these things will not be supported, and you can implement document splitting later as well, after implementing Simple Finance.
Okay.
But not in between. Not in between.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Nitin, here, one of the constraints mentioned is like inclusion of customer fields. Are these like the fields which are added to the coding block?
Yes.
So if I have any custom fields which are added to the coding block, I cannot do a migration to Simple Finance or to a new GL migration?
To new GL. See.
New GL Lite version, you mean?
Yes. New GL Lite version.
So that means that if I cannot migrate to new GL Lite version, that means that I cannot move to Simple Finance?
No, sorry, say that again.
So if I cannot implement the new GL Lite version because of customer fields, does that mean that I cannot move to Simple Finance?
There are ways. So when we say customer fields, there are, for every field there are if and buts. It again depends what type of field you are talking about, which table does it reside, what are the data supporting that. There's a lot of things, but it's not that you cannot move. There are options available. It is just that you have to tweak your strategy. That's the only thing.
Okay.
Like for example, if you include, let's say, any of your own specific thing in the coding block, like normally it doesn't happen. Customers include that standard thing like cost center, profit center, transaction type, functional area in the coding block. So those should support. So normally this does not hinder anything. Most of it.
Okay. I mean, certain IS or industry solutions need certain fields to be added to the coding block. So I'm just curious if those fields will be supported.
If it is, see, if it will be supported if it is IS, then what happen is if SAP has given the version for that IS in Simple Finance, as we discussed last time, a lot of IS has been changed, so that will be supported, not a problem. If there is some IS which is not supported, then there is an issue.
Okay.
Changes to functionalities in general. So what will change when you move to new GL? So I want you guys to read this. It is from Classic to new GL. That's all. We are not talking Simple Finance here. It is just what happened when you move from Classic to new GL, what changes. Any questions? You will see all these things, when you read that note, you will see all these changes as mentioned by SAP, like what functionalities are going to change. Any questions? No? Changes in programs and transactions, what will change to new GL? FS10N will go to Pagel B03, Pagel FBL3 and Pagel L03. Foreign currency valuation, I told it's F.05 or something. In new GL it gets changed. So these are the changes to the program or transaction codes which happen when we move from classic to new GL.
Anything? Previous slide, if you could extend a little bit. Previous one. Not this one. Previous one.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay. In new GL, you need to define valuation areas to conduct foreign currency valuation. The valuation posting are made to ledger group defined per valuation area. So, in new GL, you have leading ledger and non-leading ledger, and based on that, you can create the ledger groups. So, you have to define the valuation areas, for which area you want to evaluate the foreign currency. So, in the program, you will get an option for which area you want to evaluate in the new program. FI and CO are real-time reconciled. Cost of sales.
Here, the real-time reconciliation, how is real-time is, so it's calculated on the fly?
Yes, so what happens is in classic GL you have to run FI and CO reconciliation. But in new GL, you need not to run that reconciliation. System automatically do all the reconciliation. So give me a second. Okay, so cost of sales, you no longer need a separate COS ledger. You store the data directly in leading ledger in new GL. So what happened in classic GL is for cost of sales accounting there is a separate ledger for special purpose ledger, but in new GL the leading ledger stores the data. Preparation for consolidation. You no longer need that consolidating staging ledger, data stored directly in leading ledger. Parallel valuation with ledgers. You can use multiple general ledgers to support the requirement. So for leading and non-leading ledgers. Like your company is US based, have US fiscal year January, December, India fiscal year April to March. you can have two ledgers, leading and non-leading, and they can support those different fiscal years and all those things. So this parallel valuation is one of the key win of new GL, which was not provided by standard SAP in classic GL, and customers were using special purpose ledgers and different different other options. But with new GL, they have simplified the approach of multiple ledgers. You can have leading, non-leading ledgers, and then based on ledgers, you can report your books. Any question on this? No questions? This we talk about, right? Program changes. So there are some steps, on the screenshot you can see, on the right hand side, simulate transfer opening balances, define settings, transfer FI documents. So first you have to migrate your balances from classic to new GL. For the migration to new GL accounting, you use the following customization activities. Simulate transfer opening balances. In this step, you test your settings if transferring balance carry forward to new GL. The fiscal year is the year of migration. Source ledger is either 0 or 9. So this is we are talking about classic. You have to simulate the transfer of balances. Define settings for transferring opening balances. In this step, you make the so all this is basically the migration from classic to new steps. These are the optional steps, not part of simple finance, because there are separate projects move on for new GL, classic to new GL migration. Currently, I'm doing one of the projects for new GL migration. It's around a 6.5 month project. So it takes that 6, 7, 8 months based on the data volume and activity. So companies normally go for a separate project, but as of now, I have not seen any customer moving from classic to simple finance directly. So most of the customers, because there is a very psychological thing, if the customer is already in classic GL from so long, they have not migrated to new GL, they don't want to invest. It's clear, they don't want to invest much as of now in simple finance. They first will come to new GL, will live with new GL for a few more years, and then they will migrate. Give me a second. Okay, sorry. So transfer FI documents, reset document transfer, and at the last step is you activate new GL accounting. The button which we saw. You have to complete the migration activities to new GL, the balance migration, and then you activate that. So these are the basic steps which are required to come to a new GL, the light version. The basic, because system will change the tables behind the scenes. The Faggle Flex and Faggle Flexa will receive the data, but it does not mean that you are full-fledged on new GL. You are on the light version again, because as I mentioned, if you need to be full-fledged on new GL, it's around 6 to 8 months project which has to be done, and a lot of constants, a lot of things come into picture, and there are some SAP services, migration scenarios, So as what SAP has given is like migration scenario 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and each scenario talks about something else, something new thing. So this is the scenarios I'm talking about. The standard SAP, you have notes available for migration scenarios. So those are the details.
Nitin, I have a question.
Yes.
So when you do this simple transfer for new GL, right? After that, do you need to implement the whole new GL process again in Simple Finance?
No. It depends. For example, if you want document splitting in Simple Finance, you can do it. If you don't want, it's optional. That's not a mandatory activity. The one which are mandatory, we are already doing at the start before migration to Simple Finance. The other one, it's a choice. If you want, you can implement. Otherwise, you can ignore. Like even with the new GL normal migration, a lot of clients don't do the document splitting. My current client is not doing document splitting. They say we don't need document splitting.
So if you want to have a full functionality of what new GL has to offer, then you need to implement. Otherwise, you just
absolutely.
You don't.
Yes. Only you have to do the basic mandatory settings which are technically required. You do that and you move to Simple Finance. Then it's not necessary that you do all the settings. Whatever you need.
So most of the company, they have the special processes. So everybody wants to use the full functionality, right? So how'd that work?
So if they want to use full functionality, they can complete those implement those functionalities post migration to Simple Finance.
So they're going to have a one migration project for Simple Finance, then they add on the functionality in new GL.
Yes, reason is because they are delayed in migration of classic to new. So the client which are already on new GL using it from some years, or now they are migrating. So now currently, if you see at this point, what I receive a lot of calls from recruiters or from the people. At this point, there are a lot of new GL migration projects going on. Reason, because customers are looking at Simple Finance, but they want to ensure that first they implement new GL so that this Simple Finance project goes easy and a smooth migration. At this point, a lot of simple new GL migration projects are on, and Simple Finance is the only reason.
Nitin, with Simple Finance, still the document splitting is supported, right? Or because we say that it's a universal journal, but in case of having universal journal, still document splitting is possible?
Yes, document splitting is possible. Document splitting is basically for segment reporting, sir. And universal journal is something which consolidates all your multiple tables. So there are two different things.
Okay, so with Simple Finance also, this new GL concept, the document splitting and everything can be still handled, right?
So those will remain. If you want to use, those will remain.
Okay, thank you.
So this is the way, that's how the market changes. SAP came up with S4HANA Finance, this new functionality, and NewGL project started in the background. A lot of projects being on for Classic to NewGL because customers are looking that they want to migrate first to NewGL, stabilize that, and then in next few years, couple of years or 1 year, they will start with the from NewGL to Simple Finance. So that's how things move. A NewGL migration is one of the, it's not that easy migration. It is one of the complex migrations, and SAP has to get involved in this. We have to buy migration services, the migration cockpit SLU services from SAP for this entire process. It's not that simple. Migration to Simple Finance is more simple than migration from Classic to NewGL. I will recommend anybody of you if you are into FICO, try to get some projects for NewGL migration. You will learn a lot of things in next 6 to 8 months if you try to get the project. You will learn a lot of things from migration perspective, because simple implementation, you go to customer, you implement their business process is one of the things, but customer is on one landscape or one level and you migrate to that. Migration is another complex thing because you have to take care of existing data and everything, and especially when it is a technical migration, table changes and all those things comes into picture. Results of migration to NewGL. This was just an intermediate step. You see, this is not one of the key steps. This is an intermediate step for few customers. Table of GL view is filled. Pagel Flexa receives the data. Total table is filled, but backup is empty as a starting point of the scenario Classic GL. In case the starting is productive NewGL, it will save to this. Now NewGL is active. Migration is really simple technical transfer and not comparable to a NewGL project supported by SAP GL migration service. That's what I just mentioned. It is a simple technical migration, not a full-fledged migration project. Not comparable to a NewGL project supported by SAP GL migration service. That's what I just trying to highlight. This is just intermediate step. You do 5 or 4 or 5 steps and you move on. Full-fledged project takes 6 or 8 months to move from New Classic to New. Migration is corresponding to scenario 1, merge of FI ledger without ledger solution and document splitting. So I just told you this point, there are migration scenarios given by SAP. That's why it says refer migration scenarios. What does it mean actually, scenario 1? So there are a long list of scenarios by SAP. If you check on Google, you will get some notes on this. Migration scenario 1, what does it mean? Migration scenario 2, what does it mean? I think there are 9 or 10 scenarios what standard SAP is provided. Any question? So this is very important, that you understand what is light version of NewGL, what is full-fledged version of NewGL, what changes in light version, what changes in full-fledged version, and what are the migration scenarios. So these 5 points are pretty important to understand and to be successful in Simple Finance, because if you stuck at this point from Classic to New in any project, New to Simple Finance is another mess then. Any questions?
Nathan, I have a question. In the test system which we received, that's where you will walk through the entire migration process while working on the class. So since it looks like it is at a system level, not even at a client level, so we will not be able to practice the migration by ourselves, right?
Yes.
So we'll just have to see all the steps which you do and then make a note of those.
you can make a note, or you can try to, you cannot repeat 100%, but yes, there are some portions which you can try on your own. Let's say I can do there are some activities which will go in test run, so I will ensure that I'll not do in real run, so that everybody of you can do in test run and understand the result, and then later you can do it in real mode.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that you also practice, and then we run in real mode, you understand the implication. Special case, migration of customer specific tables. So a lot of times customers create Z tables. You are currently using new GL accounting. So now we are done with classic. Now it is clearly assumed that you are on new GL. Anything we are talking about further is assumed that we are already on new GL. We are done with classic GL. You are currently using new GL accounting and are also using tables in customer namespace Y or Z for new GL functions. You must migrate data from these tables to standard SAP tables powered by HANA. How does it look like? Migration of customer tables has to be done, if you have created some table for parallel ledger or something like that, you have to migrate to Pagel Flexa and Pagel Flex. These are only we are talking about the new GL tables, or new GL if you have created any Z tables. So you have to migrate that customer table data to the standard SAP table, because when you run the simple finance migration, SAP will only take the backup of the standard table. It will not touch the table which you have already created. So that's why it is important you migrate from your table to SAP table, so that in the backup it is covered. This migration step is mandatory for the customers already using SAP New GL and have implemented customer specific tables. All data stored in customer specific tables used in New GL get migrated into standard SAP tables. Without that step, any advantages of the new architecture of SAP accounting powered by HANA would not have an effect. All customization, ledger, allocation, rollup get adopted automatically by provided migration tool. So if you see at the right hand side, there is an option migration of customer GL tables. I think in SAP also, let me show you that. Where is that? I think I have to get the new service packs installed for this, but it should have that. I'll check that. I think this is not yet reflected here. I'll check this. So this step has to be done migration of customer specific tables. This one. Any questions on this? And these tables are only for Node.js. Huh? Don't assume that if customer has created any G table and AR or AP, it is not that. It's only specific to ledgers created in Node.js, specifically for Node.js purposes. Now comes procedure to migrate to Simple Finance. Multiple steps. Regenerate the core data services CDS views. Execute the technical reconciliation or FI check result. Let me see. So I'll try to cover some of these parts today because I still need some time to get into system. But I'll try to cover what I can and important for you rather putting all theory on you. So I'll try to cover that. Regenerate CDS views. In case of customer specific field in document tables and index tables, the created table view would have to be regenerated to include customer fields. So what happened is for all the tables, SAP generate the CDS views. What the CDS is? Core data services views. It is basically for the purpose, in HANA, it's basically a views for speed and all those purposes. SAP has given this term views, CDS views mostly. Now, in case of any standard table, in document table or index table, if you have customer specific field, the table view have to be regenerated to include customer field. So now, if you don't regenerate, SAP will take only the one which standard SAP table have, because standard SAP table match with the CDS view. But if you have included anything your own, during the course of in the past, then you have to regenerate so that you ensure that the field which you added to the table is also taken care of. I know this is a very heavy download to you, so you have to bear with me because this is migration projects are always complex. You will find this bit complex in understanding these things, so please ensure if you have any questions you ask, because this is a heavy download. Think and ask questions. I am not in a hurry to move on. Take your time. If you need break and all or something, I'm okay. If you want to hold on the session anytime, not even today, if any in a future session that we need some time to think and understand, feel free to do that. I am fine with that. But we have to ensure that what we are discussing is clearly understood. I don't want your time and money to be wasted. We just complete the course and go away. That is not the purpose. Purpose is at the end you should be able to. You should be confident that I can do the migration, and you should be saying this with confidence to the customer, to any of your clients. That's the purpose. Because it's not only the simple training going on. Not like I'm taking a class and you go away. No, I want you guys to really enjoy and understand what is expected. So whenever you feel this is a heavy download, feel free to stop me. I'm okay with that.
Nitin, I have a question here. So
yes.
It says views, so it doesn't add the fields to AC.K table yet, or does it add the fields to AC.K table?
It adds that. That's what it is doing.
Okay.
Yes.
So the AC.K table is getting extended.
Yes.
So that's the first step actually.
Yes. That's why we run this program, so that ensure any field which we are using in standard SAP doesn't have that. Let's embed that to AC.K.
Okay. And I have another question. So let's say if a financial document from the current year has a lot of change history, document changes which are captured. So as part of this migration process, will those links of the document change history also be preserved, or there is a step, or?
Yeah, that will be there.
Okay.
Yeah, you will get all what is there in current system, all history, all reports, you will get everything. So again, it is just a technical migration. It should not impact your business process. It is not that it should impact your processes or reporting. It is not expected to touch that.
Okay.
You might get that link which you are talking about, history or link, in different form or shape, not exactly as you are getting it today, but you will get that. That's for sure.
Okay. So when these fields or custom fields are added to the AC.K table, do any of the screens have to be updated, or does that not? Screens do not have any impact at all.
System do that.
System will do that. Okay.
A run consistency check for FI documents. So reconcile FI checks, missing line items, missing documents header, zero balance check. So this particular step ensures that when you are migrating data from existing system to Simple Finance, all the line items, all the headers, because currently headers are stored in different tables and documents and line items stored in different tables. There is a very possible situation that due to some reason, for one particular document only the line items get carry forward or migrated and the header is not. So this particular, and in new environment everything comes into a Docker table. Now if that table does not have, let's say, header information for one document and only line item, that's a problem. So this step particularly checks that your headers, your line items, and all the line items are zero balance. This particular item checks that when you migrate from classic to from document perspective, when you migrate the transaction data, you migrate everything. It's not that one header left in behind and data moved on. Because if it is sitting in one table, it is easy. But currently in normal environment, it is sitting in two tables. Any questions?
Nathan, what happened to the custom report, custom programs that has this new field in old system, those things need to be manually created.
So I have a separate, this is very important and very good point, which you raised. What happened to customer specific transaction codes and all customizations customer has done. So I have a separate topic to talk about this. So I have a detailed, we will discuss this in detail.
Thanks.
Yeah. Because this is with every customer, they have a lot of customizations, and every customer is worried what will happen to our customization. So I'll address that question. Don't worry, park this question. This will answer, as we move on.
Nitin, I have another question. So at least from this menu path, I only see all the migration related to transactions. I do not see any migration of GL accounts, or like especially in the case of cost elements or secondary cost elements, where there's only one transaction to maintain all the GL account related master data. For example, secondary cost element with the cost element category, everything has to be maintained in FS00. So should all those be set prior to the migration, or should all the secondary cost elements be created in GL first and then start the migration, or it doesn't matter?
Let me show you something. I don't know which company code. Okay. So yes, I'll explain you how that migration happens for GL accounts. But this is the change. You see, account type has been added. Primary cost, non-operating balance sheet account, secondary cost. And the moment you select is primary or secondary, you will get an additional button on the same screen here at the bottom. I'll show you that in next session. There is a button added here which says what type of cost element it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's outside of the migration IMG, or is it? So when is that conversion done?
That conversion will happen, at the part of migration. We will discuss that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we are good for today. In next session we will continue with this, and then in the meanwhile I'll try to analyze system and see what better I can do, because a lot of configuration has to be done. In the meanwhile, you guys try to read the previous slide, and in case you have any questions, try to come back with the questions, right? Okay.
Sure. Thank you, Nitin.
Okay.
Thank you, Nitin.
Thank you so much. Good night.